Okay, last little thing is just to have you look at these couple pictures and see if you can tell just from looking at the picture whether what you are seeing, and don't look at the labels, what you are seeing is pulmonary or systemic capillaries. So look at the bottom here and notice where oxygen is moving. It's moving from here onto the hemoglobin inside the red blood cell. Okay, that is because this is the pulmonary capillaries. You are loading at this point, whereas the other ones, notice that oxygen is getting off of the hemoglobin, leaving the red blood cell and going into the tissue cells. Those are systemic capillaries. Okay, but now what I want to talk about is I want to change gears and talk about what about carrying carbon dioxide around. So let's talk about where carbon dioxide rides. It doesn't always get on the bus, doesn't have to. Carbon dioxide travels around in the bloodstream in 3 different formats. If you're looking at carbon dioxide at any point, okay, 7% of it, so don't freak out about these pictures. They're okay, I promise. So let us do, okay. All right. 7% of carbon dioxide at any given moment is just riding around in the blood plasma. 23% of the carbon dioxide will diffuse into the red blood cell and combine loosely and reversibly with the globin portion of hemoglobin. So it's riding on the bus, but it's not riding on these 4 heme seats. It's riding on one of these. Okay, that's 23%. When that occurs, that is called carbaminohemoglobin, and it's loose and reversible too. It's on the bus, but it's not on the heme seat. Okay, so again, 7% of it is just out here riding around, like, I don't know, walking. And then 23% is getting onto the hemoglobin bus, but on different seats, so it does not outcompete. And then 70% of it is going to do that blasted equation that you have learned so damn many times this semester. And that is this blasted equation that you will see. This looks horrible, not as terrible as you think once you get started looking at it. And I'll mark it up for you in just a second. So this is the equation that goes on inside the red blood cells in your systemic capillaries. You know the equation already. We're just sticking it into this location. CO2 generated from cellular respiration plus H2O via the enzyme carbonic anhydrase, abbreviated Ca there, forms H2CO3, which dissociates to H plus and HCO3 minus. Why the heck do you care? Because if I dumped all of that into the blood plasma, the acidity would drop or go up dramatically. The pH would drop dramatically. So I need to be able to carry a whole bunch of carbon dioxide without a dramatic impact in pH. And the way that I do that is I force this equation and then I hold on to most of that inside the red blood cell and stick just that inside the blood plasma. And then that allows me to carry a whole bunch of carbon dioxide without a really dramatic impact on blood pH. Don't worry, I'm going to go through it again in just a second. So what happens, you hold on to the H+, you hold on to it on hemoglobin, and it's not taking up the seat either. And then you push the HCO3 minus, the bicarbonate ion, you push it out into the blood plasma to buffer some pH changes. And when you do that, you need to maintain the electrical gradient. So you pull another negative in. So I'm going to go through this more slowly with you in just a second. So this is happening in systemic capillary beds, so I can carry boatloads of carbon dioxide without dramatic impacts on pH. So let me show you more slowly and more carefully what's going on here. Let me change my pen color so that you can see it better. Okay, so what we are doing is we are going to do that equation that's on your screen over there, only we are going to do it specifically. So the carbon dioxide, follow me, was generated from cellular respiration. Check. 7% of it just stays out here as CO2. That's not what we're interested in right now. The other carbon dioxide, 23% of it does this, right? Loosely and reversibly combines with hemoglobin. Just rides on the bus, a different seat than oxygen rides. But most of it, 70% of it does this. CO2, okay, follow me, CO2 plus H2O via the enzyme carbonic anhydrase forms H2CO3. You have known it did that since the first week of the semester. H2CO3 does what I've told you it does over and over again, which dissociates to the bicarbonate ion, which is a weak buffer, and H+, which will completely jack up your pH if you let it. So don't let that H+ out into solution. Instead, hold on to it on hemoglobin. So hemoglobin will hold on to the H+. If you don't let the H+ into solution, it does not impact your pH. But now let's do something else to help with pH. Let's take that weak buffer that we just made with the bicarbonate ion, and let's push that out into the blood plasma to get a little buffering action. Only I want to maintain my electrical gradient. How do I do that? I pull chloride in. So that is actually called the chloride shift when that occurs, and it's temporary. Okay, so this, the objective of doing this, again, is to carry lots and lots of carbon dioxide generated by cellular respiration with very, very minor impacts on pH. Okay, so what happens in the lungs? Well, in the lungs, the only thing that we can breathe out related to this story is carbon dioxide. We can't breathe out the bicarbonate ion. It's not gas. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to kind of reverse the whole process, and hopefully this will reinforce it so that you'll actually sort of grasp what's going on here. So really what we need to do is we need to shove this whole thing that way. So in the lungs, the entire process is reversed. That's supposed to say free. Free carbon dioxide, the 7% that was dissolved in the plasma, just diffuses straight out. Don't have to worry about that. That was already in the gaseous form. The next easiest thing to let go of is the carbon dioxide that was riding on the hemoglobin bus. Just get off the bus and get out, okay? Again, it was not riding on the same seats as the carbon dioxide. So that's good. So we just got rid of, what, 30%? Yeah, 30%, okay? So the carbaminohemoglobin released the carbon dioxide and it diffuses out into the alveoli. You can breathe that out. That's good. Now what we have to do is we have to reverse the whole damn thing that we just did before. So let's do it one more time, only this time we're going to reinforce how we do exactly the opposite of what we did before. Okay, so first thing that I am going to do is I am going to reverse the chloride shift. I am going to pull that bicarbonate ion back in and push the chloride back out. Now I have the bicarbonate ion, good, right here. And so what I need is I need an H+ to combine with that so I can drive the equation the other direction. So what I do there is the hemoglobin was holding on to that H+ so that it didn't impact my pH. Let it go, H+ right here. Combine it with the HCO3- to form carbonic acid, H2CO3, but I can't breathe out carbonic acid either. So what I am going to have to do is use the same enzyme which catalyzes the reaction both directions and dissociate it to water, no problem, do whatever the hell you want with water, and carbon dioxide. And now I've got carbon dioxide, that's the 70% that I can breathe out. Okay, let's go through that one more time. Okay, so how do I get rid of this stuff? Easiest thing to get rid of was the 7% that was already out here. Just breathe that out. Second thing that I can do, second easiest thing to get rid of is the carbon dioxide that was riding as carbon dioxide on the hemoglobin bus. Just get off the bus, right? So let go of hemoglobin right here. Bus goes one direction, carbon dioxide that was on the bus goes another direction. Breathe it out. Okay, now I've gotten rid of 30% already. And now in order to do the other 70%, which is how I was carrying most of it, I'm going to have to do exactly the opposite of what I did before. Push chloride out, bring bicarbonate ion in. Now I've got bicarbonate, that's check, okay. Remember that the H plus ion was riding on the hemoglobin bus so that it did not impact pH. Let it go. Get off the hemoglobin bus. Don't leave the red blood cell yet though. So now I've got H plus and HCO3 minus. Send it this direction to form carbonic acid. Carbonic acid can't be breathed out either, but this enzyme called carbonic anhydrase can dissociate it to H plus, which does whatever it wants. And now I've got 70% of that carbon dioxide in gas form and I can breathe it out. Okay? Okay. So the question now comes, if this reaction can go either direction, if it can go that direction, or it can go, if it can go this direction toward carbon dioxide or this direction, what determines which direction the carbonic anhydrase makes the reaction go? It is primarily the PCO2. If your PCO2 is really high, it sends it toward the bicarbonate ion. If your PCO2 is really low, it sends it the other direction. So how is your PCO2 altered? Just by altering your ventilation. The primary way that you can alter your PCO2 is to breathe out more or less of it, which is the next thing that we're going to do. So just to introduce you to that concept, an increase in ventilation will blow off more carbon dioxide. That will actually decrease the H plus because you're getting rid of carbon dioxide, and it can cause decrease H plus, increase pH. It can cause respiratory alkalosis, which is why your mom, whether she knew it or not, breathe into a paper bag, you'll breathe carbon dioxide back in. If you decrease into ventilation, like with COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, because you can't get enough out, you'll retain carbon dioxide and therefore H plus, and it could cause respiratory acidosis. That's harder to treat. Okay, so there is a good summary of loading and unloading on figure 1713. If you are one of those flowchart people, I like that. A lot of you guys don't. Okay, that's it for that one.